Hello ladies and gentlemen, it is the holiday season and I got a letter in the mail from none other than Saint Nick. He writes, "Dear Sam, I hope it's not an issue. I sent this by mail, like physical mail. This whole net neutrality thing has my ISP slamming me with data charges. I know a certain FCC chairman who is getting coal. Anyways, what is your favorite video game Christmas story? I'm off to deliver my presents. Well, Santa, good luck with your present delivery, and boy, do I have a story for you, Santa. I will answer every question in this letter, except the net neutrality issues. But anyways, so let's hop right into the story.
Jingle bells, Santa smells, Christmas really stunk. I got nothing that I like, my gifts were all just junk. Boxes full of clothes, CDs no one knows. When I wanted something for my Nintendo 64, Zelda's great, Turok 2, South Park would be fine. How about Rogue Squadron? That game should be mine.
Make up for a lame Christmas. Get the hits you missed on N64.
Mom and Dad, I'm so sad about...
So, for this Christmas story, you're gonna have to go back to the 90s with me. It was a crazy time. It wasn't that long ago, to be honest. And I was a little kid. I was 10 when I received my N64. It was 1999. It had already been out for several years in the US and a year extra in Japan. If you skip back before that even though, I had an NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was an 8-bit dream, but it wasn't 64-bit and it didn't have polygons. Now, I skipped the Super Nintendo, which means I went from something very simplistic, although still fun and still cool, trust me, I still play my NES, to the N64, which was, in my eyes, at 10, the future. It was amazing. It was like VR is to kids now. But at the time, I never imagined getting that. I mean, you're a little kid, you just hope for the world. You go to Toys R Us and kind of get what your dad buys. Anyways. So, I remember that year going into Blockbuster. You walk right into our Blockbuster. To the right was VHS tapes on the shelves that were for sale. On the left was all the ones for rental. And just past those on the right were 2 rows of N64 cartridges. At the time, I didn't have an N64, but my friend did. But it was still fun to look at them. This was the time of big cardboard boxes that had box art on them. You could see the new Super Mario 64, which I never owned growing up, but I did rent it, and that was awesome. But at this time, again, I didn't have an N64, but I could see the box, and it was awesome. It launched with the console, and I just wanted these games, but just to hold and to touch them was enough. I remember on the end cap of the first row was a game called Diddy Kong Racing, and it involved Diddy Kong from the Super Nintendo games that I had played at my friend's house. Again, I never owned a Super Nintendo, so I skipped that generation. But I had played it at my friend's house, and he had his own kart racing game. It was just amazing. Let's skip ahead to Christmas Eve. Every Christmas Eve, we did the German family tradition. It was like one of the traditions we did where on Christmas Eve I would go into my room because my grandmother had a room for me on Christmas Eve with my grandmother and my aunt, and we would hide in there, and my mom and dad would go into the room next to that and hide, and we'd wait for Santa Claus to come. We'd wait there and wait there. Then you'd hear him come sometimes from the attic. One time he decided that the deck was good enough because there was no chimney, so I don't even know how he got in the attic. It's the magic of Christmas. You're just gonna have to believe in Santa. He's got ways. He can get into your house. You don't need a security system for him, though. I think he's pretty trustworthy. Anyways, so I went in, opened my gifts from Santa, but unfortunately for Santa, who wrote in to me this Christmas, which was nice of him again, the gift wasn't from him that would change my video game life. It was from my parents. So, upstairs, my grandmother had one tree that she would put up during the Christmas season, and downstairs she had another tree that would sit there the entire year. So you kind of actually forgot it was there. But on the Christmas season, you knew it was there, and the gifts abound. It was every year was like, we're gonna cut back, but you know your grandma's gonna get you like 10 different T-shirts that you're gonna wear for the rest of the next 10 years because she's plotting. But the most important gift this year would be the N64. Now I can remember other gifts, one of which I was reminded of only because of a picture, which was a Scooby-Doo stuffed animal. But the only other gift I really remember was my Space Jam basketball. But a Space Jam basketball doesn't hold a candle to an N64. I remember when the N64, like the box came down the stairs and I opened it, as a little 10-year-old, I thought I was gonna wake up from a dream in class or something. I remember sitting there specifically and going, this isn't real. I don't have an N64. This is just a dream. But sure enough, there was the box, and on the box there were all these cool games that were on the N64, and Nintendo was just letting you know, A, what your parents should buy you, but B, like this new realm of polygon 64-bit gaming that was exciting and just never before seen in a kid like my life. So the very next day, we had the big Langford family Christmas. Everyone always came over, and we had it at our house, and you'd have the aunts and uncles and arguing about politics or discussing whatever. But where was I located? In this very room, facing that way actually, looking at the big Zenith CRT we had and playing The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. This was an amazing moment in my gaming life. If you can't tell how excited I am, it's because it's just this moment, just being in Castletown, walking in the room and just picking up pots, throwing them and getting rupees. This was something I had never experienced. Like, for a 10-year-old to see that in 3D was mind-blowing. Going from something now like an Xbox 360 to an Xbox One or PS3, PS4 is nothing compared to going from an old Nintendo and a Game Boy, and I used to have, and I still do have it, Link's Awakening, which was just a little, pixelated Zelda game on your Game Boy, to now being Link in 3D, polygons, picking up pots above his head and going, "Hiya!" and just breaking it and sometimes getting a rupee. It was exhilarating, and it was just took me blindsided and put me in this crazy gaming spirit that I've just, since that moment, never lost. Because this just shows you what the power of video games has. Because our technology has evolved so much from that moment, and my life has evolved just from using an N64. My friends would always come over. I created bonds with people that would last forever because of sitting on this very floor and staring at the CRT. One of my best friends, Paul, we used to just play split screen Sarge's Heroes and GoldenEye 007. Sarge's Heroes being our favorite though, because you can spawn camp people with a flamethrower. Yeah, they hadn't thought about those things back then, but it was fun. And it was some of the best moments I had with my dad. Just being able to sit there and forget the world and bond over something that was in digital form on the TV. This, at the time, was stuff out of Star Trek to me as a little kid. And it's stuff that continues to this day to affect me and kids now. So the next time you give your kid a console, obviously think about what games you give them because you want to make sure they're playing things that they're supposed to be playing. But think about how it could possibly change their life. And it might sound silly to you, but for someone like me, it encouraged this love of technology and this love of computers and just thinking. I know my friend too. He had been in all these adventure games, and it spurred his creativity and imagination. And I have to think that even if it's just 1%, it contributed to him being an engineer and him working in programs like CAD. Because we were working with polygons. Granted, we were playing adventure games. But there we were, exploring a 3D world that had never been experienced by kids or adults. Because it's okay to play games as adults as well. Anyways, there's my Christmas story. Thank you to my parents for giving me that N64 and letting me realize it's okay to be a nerd, because video games teach you can be whoever you want to be and appreciate yourself and the things you enjoy. So I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and I hope Santa that answers your question. Why you wrote me, I'll never know. Obviously, we both have a connection to this N64. What is your favorite console? Did you have a video game system growing up? I'd like to know in the comments below. Everyone, have a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas and whatever you celebrate. Pick up a controller if you have some downtime, but pick it up with a friend or a family member and explore a new world.